Is this thing
and then
on?
just launch right into it,
Yeah.
or have them catch us mid discussion because we were having such a good time before everything even started rolling.
Yeah, before these
Like
nerds got in
like
our way.
Be like,
Alright.
oh, hey,
welcome
welcome to the
like
stream, guys. Like, oh, I
yeah.
didn't realize you guys were here.
Welcome
Welcome
to
to the
the
It's like,
stream.
oh
Just hanging
my.
out. I didn't realize you guys
We
were
were
just
just
hanging out.
It's like,
We were
oh
just hanging
my.
out. I didn't realize you guys were just hanging out.
It's like, oh my.
Oh god, no one listened to the stream. It's on like mega back.
I mean, that is
feed.
kind of what we were doing. Is
Feedback.
talking about D&D, talking about how gems are equal to spend. 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 Talking about how gems are equal. But oh hey, didn't see you there.
Hi guys, this is
Welcome to Quest Hook.
Quest Hook.
How about that? Didn't see you guys
How about
hanging out in the
that?
living room there.
Yeah.
All
Hope
right.
you weren't waiting long.
Or
Like
you know,
7
basement,
seconds or so.
or you know, your office, or I don't know, where else would people be? Probably
I
that's
assume
about
most
it.
people would be in like their bedrooms, probably wherever their computers
The
are.
bedrooms. Whoa, it's a little intimate. That's
Getting
very
weird.
intimate.
Getting weird.
It's time for Quest Hook, right?
Let's fucking do it.
Hook it up. Get hooked. Get hooked. Hashtag get hooked.
On quests.
Get your
Get your quest unhooked.
This could go on for too long. We're gonna cut it off before it even starts. Nip it in the bud. All right.
Good job. Good job.
So, Ben, you wrote a recap.
Yeah, this one was.
Jesus. Sorry.
We should
That
let's do intros of us first before
Oh.
recapping.
Oh yeah, hold on. Let me just remove this cat from the premises. Sorry,
Who the hell
cat.
cares?
How dare you?
Who we are, just what happened to us.
All right.
Well,
Yeah. No,
we
this
care who we are.
is Sunday, September 22nd, Quest Hook style.
Sunday.
We're down a player tonight, but we're gonna keep hooking.
Something about a baby in a hospital.
Oh, it's gonna be a good time.
Something like that.
Rolling down the line, Timmy Tom here. Actually, just Tom, no Timmy, but also Timmy Tom. I'm your GM, adequate as usual. Not great, not bad, just smack dab in the middle. And we got a little man named Viz,
Yes, tiny little Viz. Yeah.
baby, mini Viz.
John.
Even where it
here
counts.
Playing Vizradel Veilna, a rather tall, actually, elven wizard who enjoys the finer things in life, like not getting killed by dragons
Yeah.
and demons.
But you need to enjoy the finer things of fancy robes.
I mean, you need some fancy robes sometimes to truly be Vizradel Veilna.
He's accompanied by a close friend,
And
little bird. What's his name?
Terry. Terry.
Oh, good old
Robin,
Terry.
Who,
I just wanted to hear you
lives
say it.
on Viz's shoulder. He has his own little thing going. If you ever want to talk to Terry, just say, "Hi, Terry."
Sometimes Terry and Viz bleed into each other, but it's okay.
Well, Viz
We
gets
know
a
that
little
they're all-
excited, and sometimes it sounds like
Terry
Terry.
just pops out. Falyuan.
What's up, guys? I'm BM. I am not your GM. I play Falyuan, our resident fighter, aka the man of many halves. Half black, half white, half human, half elven, halfway around the world, trying to find his place in the world.
And Kenny.
Sorry.
No, you're
My
not.
name is Joe. I'll be playing Kenny. I am the gnomish druid of the Moon Circle.
Moon Circle. You mean you're a shapeshifter type of...
That's what
Circle
I'm.
of the moon?
That's where I'm hitting.
hitting it
That's what
in the circle.
I'm like
We are
hinting that that's-
missing our buddy
Walden.
How you
Nick.
doing, Walden?
Walden,
Walden.
apple bottom girl in the
Apple
apple
bottom
bottom
jeans.
boots in the jeans.
Exactly. Boots with the yes, Walden, boots with the fur.
Yeah.
Jones.
Ain't
Walden.
here to
Sadly,
Dead to
Can't
us,
be.
Walden.
Yes. Can't be here tonight.
Might be missing for a few more sessions.
We'll see. Might have to get a replacement. Who
yeah.
knows?
So if
Might
anyone wants to
be-
apply for this
We know
position,
all of you.
Oh, yeah.
Zero
Please
viewers out
email-
there got very attached to us.
What's the email they can send their applications to?
They can email us at questhook.twitch@gmail.com.
Yeah, please email us your applications to become our new member because we're not actually fielding one. So,
Yeah.
but really, we want to hear from you.
Everybody listen to that really closely at the
Um,
end there. He's a slippery little GM. He likes to
So,
weave words in like a wordsmith.
Bien, do you mind if I
Thanks.
read the recap?
yeah, no, by all means.
All right. So previously on Quest Hook, and this was 2, count them, dose weeks ago.
Oh my.
Many
Both the
moons.
known and unknown have been shadows on the heels of our heroes from the start, and never before has it been darker and more foreboding. Knowing this, fear and safety have been the driving force since their escape from Stormtop. It's the second of Minkay. As they finish cleaning up their short battle with the orcs, Kenny does his best to clean up their tracks and give them more protection as he heads them to safe camping grounds. That night, Billy Bob reflects on their events and plays a sad song on the harmonica that he'd heard from 2 particular drow bards from a place called Gallisbury. The song's called Gallisbury, isn't it?
Mhm,
I'm sorry.
That's right.
The song is called Gallisbury. Forgive me. On Falyuan's watch, he hears shouting far off in the distance, but refrains from investigating in fear that it could be the Frostline. He wakes up and warns Viz as a precaution, stays awake an extra half hour to be safe. While Viz doesn't experience anything of concern, Walden's watch begins with a tolling of 10 bells, and Kenny smells and sights the burning of serious fire to the east on his watch. Low on courage and supplies, they decide to ignore the ominous signs and continue to their rendezvous point with Ringo of the Rancid. On the 3rd of Minkay, Kenny leads his crew south along the coastline, where they spy 3 ships sailing south on the horizon. Viz surmises them to be the elven war galleons from Stormtop, before continuing south to their cove. As the gang reach their hidden boats, they are met with the sight of orcs and a human man bullying a pack of goblins who seem to be sheep herding. Realizing that their boats might be stolen from them, the boys get into position to intervene on behalf of the goblins, and a terrible battle ensues. Vist tries to distract the orcs from his comrades, only to end up dueling the human in a quick game of magic.
Oh.
As the
Yeah.
orcs slaughter the goblins, Kenny transforms into a large wolf and massacres the orcs in front of him, trying to press forward. On the side, Walden does his best to pick off numerous orcs, only to draw the attention of the mage and a handful of others. Wanting to protect his comrades, Falyuan takes to the front lines and wards off a few of his brutish opponents, but is eventually overpowered and is seriously stabbed through the leg. The once floundering battle ends up turning in the favor of our hopeful heroes, but at a heavy loss of goblins, blood, and faith. And that brings us to where we are right now. On the beaches, on the shores of Kel, and what is known to most as, let's see, what do we, hold on, let me find a map. Need to find the name of the coast area. But this is the rendezvous point, or the point where you guys sort of left everything off. You ditched the boats here when you exited the Rancid a few days ago. You've mended one of them that was broken, so they were both in working order. And you can still see them poking out of the bushes, kind of stashed down this way. Currently, there's 7 goblins who are still alive and 5 sheep. Looks like another about 7 or 8 goblins were killed in this, as well as numerous orcs. And Falyuan, though you've been healed, your leg is still pretty fucked up.
That's correct.
So that's gonna sort of where we're gonna pick things up. Right as you guys are on the beach here, it's kind of afternoon. The sun is still like 3/4 in the sky, kind of moving towards low. There's one thing not pictured here on the map is there is some snow cover on the ground, and it's a little chilly out. It's probably like 35 degrees. And there's the ocean out in front of you. From your vantage point currently, you can't see anything on the horizon, but you're not really up on the rocks or anything like that. So what would you guys like to do? You sort of have these goblins. They're kind of like, they look like they're tending to the other goblins who are on the ground and stuff, trying to save any of them, or consoling their friends and such.
We are early still.
Yeah, so today is the 3rd of Min-K, and the Ringo pickup was supposed to be on the 8th. So you guys are 5 days.
So I can cast Comprehend Languages as a ritual. It'll take 10 minutes.
Yeah.
But, oh wait, no, that's just to read. Oh no, any literal meaning of any spoken language that you hear. You also understand any written language that you see, but you must be touching the surface on which the words are written.
So yeah, you'll be able to understand what they're saying. You won't necessarily be able to talk back, but you might be able to use some of your intelligence type stuff to communicate.
Yeah, I'll take out a quill and a ink and a piece of paper, or maybe a stick in the sand.
Yeah.
But yeah, I'm gonna start doing that. I'm gonna start casting that as a ritual, so I can start talking to them.
Yeah, you start. You begin to get things set up. Like trace some lines and stuff like that in the snow, and set the various things up for the ritual. Kenny? What are you and Fal Yuan doing in the meantime?
I'm gonna check that spellcaster.
Yeah, sure. He's face down in a pool of blood in the snow, right
Obviously.
over here.
I'm gonna ask Walden to go towards the shoreline, so he's not
zombie over by the
just
shore.
out.
Yeah, so Walden and Billy Bob sort of go hang out.
I'm gonna have
a little less useful at the moment.
Yeah, Billy Bob, keep watch just to make sure nobody comes from the east too quick. This guy is the caster.
Yeah.
I'm gonna head over to him.
So yeah, he's face down in the snow. And you want to turn him over and search him and stuff?
Yeah, I'll roll him over and check him for tattoos of the frost line or insignias or rings or other stuff.
Yeah, why don't you make me an investigation check while you just start looking him over?
All right, let me check my investigation check. I'm currently editing my possessions. Sorry.
That's right, man. Take your time.
Plus
I'm not in a rush.
Bam. Wait, what? Go back. Fuck, why did I drop out of the game?
While we're taking this little break, I want to welcome Commander Root and Huntster to the stream.
What's up,
welcome, guys? Hope you're
Welcome.
enjoying Quest Hook. We do this every
That's what's
week
up.
between 7:30-ish and 11:30-ish.
Investigating for a 15.
Investigating for a 15.
I'm gonna check his pockets, see if there are any hidden things. Check, does he have a cloak? Does he have, he was using something to cast. I saw that. What we got?
All right, so you start looking him over, and he's got some coin. He's got about 75 coin on him. He also has a pretty nice looking pendant that is pinned to his cloak. That's sort of pinning his cloak together, and it's the symbol of the frost line.
Oh shit.
He has
It's pretty- and it's pretty
75
nice.
GP, a nice Frostline brooch,
Mm-hmm.
or is it like a cloak pin?
It's like a clasp for your cloak. It's the kind of thing that you'd easily. It's like I guess you would still call it a brooch, though, right?
Yeah, it'd be like I mean, or like a cloak pin.
Tie,
yeah,
yeah,
brooch.
the cloak pin. Whatever.
Um,
Anything else? This
Let me
nice
see,
pin.
This nice pin.
Hey Walden, how much is this worth? Duh. Sorry, I couldn't help myself.
He's got. Otherwise, he's got like cold weather gear. He does have like a staff that he was casting with. It doesn't seem to be very nice looking or anything like that. Looks more just like a carved piece of wood. The only other thing that you find on him that looks pretty nice is he has a very well sewn belt pouch. That's like maybe, Cat, come on, get out of here. Get out.
Maybe Cat, get out of here.
Yeah, it's not very large. It's probably like 6 by, I don't know, 6 by 8 inches or so, with like a drawstring at the top. It's made out of leather and it's really nicely sewn, and it's got like some unknown or some like strange runes and insignias sort of like stitched into it.
Nice belt pouch.
Other than that, he doesn't really have much else of use on
Alright,
him.
I wrote all that stuff down. I like take it off of him. I walk over with the staff like really comically large above me, and like mention. I'll like cough a little bit and be like, "Hey, Viz."
As he's
feel
like
like
mid ritual.
Give me a few minutes, Kenny.
Ewan, what are you up to at the moment?
I would like to check out the boats and make sure they are safe.
All right. You
Smart,
walk down
smart.
past the goblins, who, they just sort of like look at you. They don't like hold their weapons up in fear or anything like that, but they just sort of like look at you guys as to like why you're not killing them, basically.
Oh,
And like as they sort of keep huddling together and like they seem like they're moving the bodies and stuff like that together. And you walk over and you uncover the boats, and it looks like they're in great shape. They've got a little bit of snow on them and stuff, but other than that, they haven't been touched. All the oars are still there, and both boats are just as you left them, so should be able to hold 4 people, no problem each.
Whew. What a relief.
If you guys left anything behind in the boats, all of that is all still present as well.
Because I am definitely one to leave things in boats.
I mean, you guys have left things behind before in carts.
Carts, boats,
Everyone
boats
should
and
run.
carts. Hey, who
so,
needs boats or carts where we're going?
Kenny comes back holding this staff over his head, Viz, as you finish the ritual. And basically, as you finish the ritual, you hear the goblins talking. Finally, it goes
Oh.
from just like casual chatter
Yeah.
to being able to understand what they're talking about.
Oh,
Um,
and as I'm standing there, I'm gonna pull out the goblin art that I have and show it to him and be like, "We're cool. See?"
And so what you hear to start, Viz, is like, basically he's like, Jimmy, I don't know why they're not like attacking us, but I'm not really sure what to do. I think we're kind of stuck here at the moment. I don't think we should run. And there's like a little bit of squabbling back and forth. It looks like Jimmy, who's the guy here. Oh, here, let me put his name out there. Jimmy.
Hmm.
Jimmy seems to be their leader, or de facto leader, perhaps. Like the rest of them seem to be looking to him as to be the one to make decisions. He seems to be reluctant to make those decisions, from what he's talking about. But like as they notice that you're listening, they're like they all start to like shush each other, and they're like, Jimmy, talk to him, and like they start like egging him on and like pushing him forward towards you.
I woke up. How to do this? Well, I like take a stick and I start drawing in the sand. So I can understand their language, but I can't, I assume, like, recall it. So I wouldn't be able to, like, write the symbol.
Yeah, you wouldn't
of
be able to write
friendship.
it down. No. You're only able to. It's like the idea is that like you can't when you hear them speaking, you just hear it as common.
I
So,
write,
like, you just-
or
Yeah.
draw the symbol of like a heart in the sand of like friendship, or like, yeah, I'll do a heart for now to see if that works. Like, you know,
Okay.
just the classic
Yeah, you draw
heart
the symbol of a heart. Why don't you actually, instead of having to come up with ways that you can
communicate with them.
communicate with this guy, why don't you just make me an intelligence check?
Okay.
And because you have comprehend language on, and you can kind of, because you can see through the wall a little bit, why don't you make me that with advantage?
Oh, thank you, DM.
You know, because otherwise you wouldn't, if you didn't have that, you wouldn't be able to even understand if he understands what you're saying.
Right, but I at least have like a feedback. So
yeah.
a 20.
Okay, so 20.
Yeah.
So over the course of the next like 5 minutes, Kenny's like holding up some goblin art that these guys are like, definitely like a few of them start whispering about, and they're like, "Oh my god, that's pretty interesting." Like, did Todd make that? Like, I thought Todd used to do some kind of scrimshaw.
I'm gonna try to remember the guy's name who was their leader, because he could talk to us.
Oh yes. Wow, do you remember?
You can make me an intelligence check, anybody.
I will do that.
I also will do that.
Go right ahead.
If I recall.
I
his
don't
name.
think you were there.
Oh, that's
Oh, you
true.
weren't there, Viz.
I wouldn't know. Ulfi would.
Oh no, you might have been told a story about it.
We'll see if I remember the
That's true.
story.
Oh god damn it! I keep on hitting back.
So you and you can also
11,
roll if you want.
So I don't recall the story you
No,
guys
you don't
told very
recall.
well.
Let me see here.
Yeah. All right. No one remembers.
All right. So you guys, unless you have it written down
I'm-
somewhere, and you want to pull out your
I'm pulling
you know
out my
your journal,
notes.
like you could also pull out your journal and start flipping through and be like, I think I know his name.
Yeah.
And feel free to flip through your notes because it is in your notes.
Yeah, I pull out
Which
the little note
I
that
see
I have.
it right here.
Just gotta scroll up 30 pages.
So over the next like 10 minutes or so, Viz, you're able to at least get like a basic communication with this guy. You know, he doesn't speak any common. Gandersnack, that's it. So
Done again.
Falyuan spouts out the name, and when Falyuan says it, Go ahead.
Kenny high fives him. He jumps and
go ahead
high
and say it,
fives him.
Falyuan.
Fal. BN.
Gandersnack.
Immediately Jimmy's like, Gandersnack. And like all like the other 6 of them start like chanting it as well.
Yes, Gandersnack. We've
And he just lets off in Goblin and starts like talking all about Gandersnack and how he was the one who led them out of the mountains, but he died 3 weeks ago.
No.
In a raid when they were basically chased out of this village called Jasper's Falls. And they were, you know, basically like pitchfork and torch chased out of the area. They lost a few of their brethren and their leader, Gandersnack. But he said that they were told if they went to the coast, they could probably find passage out of here. So they've been dodging orc tribes and stuff like that the whole way. And, you know, finally got to the coast and realized that there was nowhere that they could go. And then ran into these orcs before you guys showed up.
Is
well,
there any way to ask them who told them this? I look at Viz.
I mean, I guess I could try to act out or, you know, symbol out some like question mark, who told you info, like boat question mark, or like ocean question mark.
Let's see. With your 20 from before, I'd say that, you know, it's one of those things like you can't get that specific of information out of him. As to like, because you can't communicate names really of like, oh, like who was the guy who told you about this specific thing.
Right.
but it does seem like you get the impression that they heard this, like from the conversation, you got the impression that they heard about this before they left, before they even got to Jasper's Falls. So it says that apparently they were told that they could go to that they should go to the coast, weeks and weeks ago.
I'm like pointing at the sheep. I'm like, we got you those sheep.
They
Those
like
are
look
the
at the sheep and they're like, thumbs up, like, yeah, sheep. Like, and one of a few of them are like, sheep, and start to like.
I'm like, see, we're talking to him now. I give,
They
give
learn the
Viz
word
the
sheep.
thumbs up.
Yes, that's truly.
I
I pull out some goblin dice.
Oh yeah, they're like, they pull out a bunch of goblin dice too, and they're like, yeah, and they start to say the word for dice and goblin.
And I'm like, I'll put like 3 gold up against one of the sheep.
They're like, they hold up a hand and they like shake their head like, no.
Damn. Was trying to get us some rations, boys. We're gonna be in this area for a couple of days, I think.
We can go hunting.
We should set up
Yeah,
camp.
no,
what do you
no,
wanna
we
try to
can't.
do?
There's like nothing around.
You're the only
That's
one
the
who can
weird thing.
seemingly communicate with them by any means. So,
Well, so boys, should we bring them on the boat with us?
I don't.
They need help. They're at an ocean. They're basically, where are they going to go from here? The entire inland from here is Frostline. No human settlement will give them any sort of room aboard because they're goblins. So we're the only ones who really would give them the time of day, and we have a boat. They don't take up a lot of space. We can bargain their sheep as passage potentially, if we can convince them that that's kosher. And just imagine, Ringo will now have a goblin crew. How badass would that be?
I will take out my spyglass and see if the Rancid is on the seas.
all right, go ahead and make me a perception check with advantage because of your spyglass. Anybody else can do this as well. I imagine Falyu and you're like, hold on a sec.
Yeah,
All right,
21.
that's pretty good. 21. Nobody else needs to make a check. Don't worry.
We all have spyglasses to make checks.
So, Falyuan, you do spot the Rancid. It is, if you were to make your best judgment with a 21, you can make pretty good judgment. It's probably several miles off the coast, like
Okay.
maybe 3.
Quickly
4.
gather as much wood as you can, and I will light it ablaze, and we can signal the boat to shore.
Though, in addition to the Rancid, you see 2 other boats.
Oh no.
They're to the north of the Rancid, so like up the coast. They're also probably like 5, maybe 6 miles away. And they're much bigger. And those are the boats that you spotted before, Viz.
The Elven galleons.
Yeah. Those are the ones.
So are they? Do they look to
elves
be
don't
in?
like pirates.
I was gonna say.
You
do
also
they-
see some, like birds flying around above them. Big birds.
Bullshit, those are birds.
Yeah, those are griffins for sure. Do they look to be in pursuit of the Rancid, Fal?
Fal, I would say it's hard to tell.
It is hard to say.
Well,
Also, what time of day is it, Tom?
Afternoon.
Afternoon. Okay.
so if we gather a lot of wet wood and branches and leaves, we can make a smoky fire. And this is the general area where Ringo was told to meet us, so if he sees it, he may know it's a signal from us to get to shore quickly.
Better idea. How far can Terry fly?
I mean, he's not really designed to go out over sea, but I'm sure he could make it to that boat in time. I can't really...
With a note wrapped around his foot.
Yes, I just wouldn't be able to communicate with him after a mile out, so he'd be on his own.
What about that feather of yours, Kenny?
It's
Oh.
on its way to
Oh, right.
Calidorius.
Yeah.
Calidorius. That's more pressing than us needing to paddle very fast towards a boat at high speeds.
I mean,
Well, 3 miles is not far.
I could send Terry out. He'd probably be able to make it there in half an hour. As the bird flies. As the crow flies. As the Terry flies.
As Terry flies.
DM, does that
Also,
seem
what
like
do
a
you
viable
think?
plan? Like,
I mean, yeah, I will let you try whatever you guys want.
we'll like, can Terry go out that far to sea? He's
I
he's
mean,
go
it'll be a
hopping.
challenge, definitely.
Yeah.
You know, but I mean, he's your like your familiar / companion or whatever. Like he'll do whatever you want him to do. So he'll try. But if he feels like he's not going to make it, he'll, try to save himself.
Right.
I do not
yeah,
suppose you can
so it's one of those
swim there,
things that
Kenny.
I would say, Viz, that you feel like there's a chance of failure. There's a chance that he might not make it. You don't, there's a slim chance that he might die, but there's a chance that he wouldn't be able to deliver the message. I would say, 50-50.
Yeah, he'll just like turn around and be like, "Nah, fuck this."
Yeah.
Well, I guess.
And then there's a small chance that he might not make it, and try to push it. And
Well, I'll instruct him not to, and we can kind of 2 birds, 1 stone. Send Terry out, and then also start working on the fire, because they'll need to pinpoint us on the shore anyway. And if
No, they
Terry
won't.
can't make
We're
it,
gonna jump in these boats and we're gonna paddle out to them.
well, if Terry can't make it, it would be good to have the fire ready to light.
I think a half an hour is way too long. I say everybody jump in one boat. You guys paddle as hard as you can. Tie a rope to me. I'll turn into a dolphin or a shark, and we'll power our way towards the boats.
What about the goblins?
They'll be on the boat, the single boat with us, with the sheep. It's gonna be tight quarters.
There's no way we could all fit on one boat. That's that's not.
so the boat fits 4. Here's
Yeah.
the boat. The boat fits 4 medium-sized creatures.
We need to get the boat close to shore so we can basically shuttle our asses back and forth.
Would it not be faster for you to go on your own, Kenny?
You know what? We could stop talking about this. Yeah, you can
Yep.
jump in the water and go out there, Kenny.
I'll be
and,
back.
Yeah.
I run towards the shore, and as I go, I'm gonna turn into a reef shark and jump into the water
I throw Monty.
and
All
start
right, so there's a little-
swimming. Oh no, not a dolphin, a shark. A shark.
I imagine it's a dolphin.
Why?
Yes, in these frigid waters. It probably makes more sense to be like a penguin or a seal.
I'm just going as fast as I can.
All right.
Straight
I would
towards
say, Viz, the goblins are like, "Oh, what the fuck was that? Did I just turn into a shark?"
I like,
They're
I do like the calm down hand motions, and it's like I say like magic.
they seem more cool with that than you would expect other people to be.
Well, in that case,
You're not really sure why.
Viz is gonna start building that fire he was talking about.
All right.
I
Fal,
will
what would you like to
gather
do?
wood.
All right, you're gonna gather wood. Billy Bob and Walden are gonna help you guys out. The goblins, you can tell Viz that they're starting to put 2 and 2 together, and 4 of them come and help out, start gathering wood and stuff.
Yeah, Viz kind of does like the hand motion for boat, and then points out to shore, and then points to like here, and then points like does like the motion of all of us on like 2 boat.
So 3 of them then go and start to move over to the boat, and start pulling one of the small boats out.
Well, yeah. I mean, I stopped them from putting it out onto the water. I'm like, well, not yet. Like, there's a boat coming, but we don't have to go out yet. Oh,
So yeah, they start moving the boat, getting things together while you guys start to build this fire.
awesome. Okay.
So Jimmy is with you guys. Let's I'm gonna put like a little bonfire token for you guys to put wherever you want. So So you guys can put it's a movable token. You can put that wherever you want. Want me to move the corpses? Is that what you're saying? You're far away from your mic. I can't hear you.
Yeah, sorry. If you could move the corpses, that would be handy.
Fine.
Well, maybe. Oh wait,
Oops,
I'm
uh-oh.
a shark right now.
Got rid of
We could
Foul.
put the corpses in the fire, if you know. That'll definitely bring some smoke.
Yeah, I mean, you can burn the corpses. It's entirely up to you.
Yeah, let's burn the corpses.
Yes.
All right. So you throw some goblin corpses or some orc corpses and stuff like that in there. I imagine tactfully you guys are not grabbing goblin corpses.
No. Unless they burn their dead, and I'm like, well, you can toss it on if you want.
Okay. Can Fal and Viz, can you guys each make me a perception check as you guys are gathering brush with the 4 goblins, and throwing stuff onto the wood pile and stuff like that? 22, 21. Okay, so as you guys both come back with big bunches of branches and stuff like that from these woods, and you notice that these 3 goblins have put 2 of the sheep onto the boat, and they're starting to load the sheep onto this boat.
Yeah, I'm gonna stop them for now and be like, us first. Point to us and the goblins, and then we're going to go onto the boats first to talk. The sheep will. I know you're very protective of your sheep, but they'll be.
Can you
they'll be
make
safe.
me a persuasion check? You can. I guess I would give you advantage because of your relationship with them, but you don't speak their language.
Yeah.
So I would give you disadvantage for that.
they
So
kinda
just
balance that.
straight up roll a.
Oh, 8.
All right. So they're not going for it. They don't understand. They're like you can tell that because you can comprehend what they're saying. You can tell they're like, this guy doesn't get it. Like the sheep got to fit on the boat. Like, right? They're like, and you can see they're like, all right, well, I guess just stop. And they leave the 2 sheep on. You get to the point where they're just leaving the 2 sheep on the boat and they're not loading anymore.
I'm going to Well, I mean, I don't have time to do this. I have to build the fire.
Exactly. You're like, all right, fine, whatever. You get to that point of they've got 2 sheep on the boat and they're not loading more. So you're like, I don't have time.
Can I Billy Bob? Can you get the sheep off the boat?
He's yeah, sure, definitely.
Be nice to the goblins. They're our friends.
So Billy Bob goes down to go deal with the
And be
sheep.
nice to the sheep.
Fal, are you doing anything to intervene in the situation?
No. In my current state of physical affairs, I will tend to the fire.
Okay. All right. So Kenny, you swim out. How fast does your shark move in the water?
40 feet is what the swim speed is.
40 feet. So you can
So,
multiply
80
that by
feet
10.
around.
Yeah.
So 80 feet around multiplied by 10. So 800 feet per minute.
Yeah. That's pretty good.
And they're 3 miles away. So that's 5,000 feet per mile times 3 is 1,500 feet. 15,000 feet. And you move at 800 feet per minute. So
Yeah.
let's do a little math there. How long will it take
Well, it's
Kenny?
5,280. Are we just gonna round to
We're just gonna round it to 5,000 because
50? All right.
so 15,000 divided by 800. So it's gonna take you 18.75 minutes to get there.
I was gonna say if he
Yeah,
moves 800 feet a minute,
Yeah.
he moves 48,000 an hour. So, and then divide that by 5,000, we'll say. So he moves 9 miles an hour. So yeah, in 20 minutes he'll make it to the boat ish.
Yeah, that's about what it is. 18
Technically
minutes,
18 minutes, 18.7 something minutes.
Tweet.
right? So
So you
I'm
guys
swimming for a while.
basically
I've-
the fire is like the structure is built. by the time that Kenny, you get to the ransom. So like you guys haven't lit the fire yet or anything like that, but you have all the wood and stuff like that piled. You got all sorts of kindling, things like that are going to be some accelerants, and you're ready to get things going. You've gotten to the stalemate with the goblins. They've got 2 sheep on a boat. You can't figure out how to get them off. Billy Bob's going to currently deal with it while you guys finish your preparations. So Kenny, you get to the boat. And what do you do when you pull up alongside it? Like, how do you envision yourself getting on this boat?
Well, usually they have a built-in ladder to the sides of boats that go down to like a docking ship.
Yeah, some longboats, and those longboats, you've taken 2 of them.
Yeah, so I'm gonna pull up alongside the ladder as a shark, and then I guess I'm gonna try to like change as I'm gonna like go down and try to breach the water and change into a gnome
Like
as
midair?
and grab onto the side of the boat and start yelling.
Can you make me an acrobatics check?
Not very well, probably, but yes. Hold on one second.
Doesn't have to be very well.
So can I get a running start? Considered a running start, since I'm gonna dive in like I have a +2, I think. 14.
14's good enough.
So I'm gonna start yelling, "Ringo, get to the shore! We need to leave now!" As I like scale the side of the boat and pull myself up and like roll on to the deck.
All right, so you pull yourself up to the deck, and everybody's like, they're hauling you. You're wet, so they're like hauling you in, and they're like, "Oh my god!" Like, and you can see Ringo comes up. He's like, "Kenny,
we need to go, Ringo. We need to go right now. We're at the shore. Let's go. Pick up everybody. There's some gnomes."
God, you look like shit, boy. You're all wet.
Hold on.
You swim out here?
Oh yeah. Trust me, being a shark
It's
for
a
20
long
minutes
swim for a little man.
Well,
They're all like start like cheering and stuff, and he's like, "It's Kenny!"
Yeah. I'm like,
you can see like
hoist
two of the guys that like start
hoist the
busting out
sails, and let's go. And I point them towards the shore where I just came directly from.
He's
and
like,
I'm
"Slow down, boy. What are you talking about now?"
I pull out my spyglass and I stick it to his eye, and I look to the north where the 2 galleons are, and to the sky where the griffins are. And I was like, "I'll explain once we start heading to the shore. We've got at least
we be running from them."
Yeah, we got 6 minutes until we need to be at the shore. We need to be raising sails. Go, go, go. Trust me, we've got some sheep to pick up and some goblins to pick up, and we need to go.
He's like, wait a minute. What, hold on. You can see, like, they're currently sailing at a decent clip, headed south. He's like, "So you and your boys, everything work out okay? I mean..."
Well, you can say yes and no. I'll explain when we're headed eastbound towards the shore, right? And I'll point the spyglass in the direction still attached to his eye.
Why don't you make me a persuasion check?
Oh man. Can I grease his? Well, I'll try that after I fail this persuasion check. Do I get any bonuses for just having swum out there?
No.
Everybody loving me?
His buddies love you, and they're offering you spirits
I
and stuff like that.
Drunk on a boat while my friends are.
Oh, a nat 1. That's a critical failure. Kenny, just roll me another d20 just for good measure.
Posterity's sake, just so I can see if I can. All right.
Yeah,
that's
just to
way
see if
better.
you decide to insult his mother.
No,
okay.
I'm like,
So he's like, Kenny, you gotta slow down. You gotta realize what's going on here. So you and your friends are a little early, right?
Mm-hmm.
So we're being chased by some old friends. And you need us to stop and pick up. You said goblins?
Well, I mean, our party, and then some goblins and some sheep. which is a bonus. We can have some mutton, you know. It's a little tit for tat.
Well, if you know how to get your friends out here, I'm not going to stop for very long, and I can't get very close to the shoreline.
How close can you get me?
I can get us a mile out.
All right, I'll take it.
But hear me now, Kenny. I ain't having no goblins aboard this ship. As many sheep as you can fit. Goblins ain't welcome aboard. I don't take anything green or slimy. And you hear one of the crew be like, "Oh, that's not what I saw back at port." And he's like, "Shut the fuck up."
Not the time for such jokes, Tom.
So Kenny, you hear he gives a couple shouts and the boat lurches.
I'm like
starts to head east.
I'm like, as a personal favor, if you take these 5 goblin on, I will hire you for yet another awesome adventure. Or 5, 7. Wait, how many goblin were still alive?
There were 7.
7.
Fuck.
It's a lot of goblins, but they're small and they work hard. But they don't speak
true,
common.
Yeah, that's bad. Maybe we'll soften up in a mile or two about the goblins. Let me tell you about what happened in Stormtop, and then
He's like, "We saw the dragons and the smoke."
Oh, you saw the dragon, single dragon, and the smoke. The smoke.
We're heading south, Kenny.
Do you know what came out of the smoke?
I don't want to know.
It was a demon.
Well, all the more reason we're headed south.
Well, obviously. How far south are you willing to go?
Well, I mean, I don't know where you guys are headed, but we'll make port in a few places. We're heading south to Verdun.
Huh.
So.
Very well.
You guys can see from the shore the ship has turned, and it's headed east. At the same clip that it was moving. It is starting to, move in your direction. So, Falyuan and Fizz, what do you guys do?
Well, I mean, we're still building. I guess when we think the fire's at sufficient height, we will set it ablaze.
Yeah. All right. So you guys light the fire. The goblins. All right. So the goblins. Billy Bob's had no luck. And he's actually succeeded in getting one more sheep loaded onto the boat.
How did you do that?
He comes back. He's he's got his hand. He's running his hands through his hair. He's just like,
it's all right. I pat him on the back. It's all right, Billy Bob. It's
like, I don't know.
I just go up to the boat and just start shoving the sheep out of the boat. Yeah.
There's and a couple of the goblins start to get angry. And they're one of them pulls a javelin. He's like, hey. And you can see he's starting to get upset now.
I bring the sheep back up to shore and make sure they're dry, and then I turn back to the goblin. There's a boat, and I make a boat hands, and I said, and there was a dragon, and I do dragon wings and fire breath, and I'm like, we're running from a dragon onto a boat. We need to get onto that boat. Sheep don't need to.
All right, make me a persuasion check, because that seems to be our only.
Yeah. Hey, pretty good. 22.
Okay. 22 is great. All right, so this dude lowers his spear, and you can hear them talking, and Jimmy's like, just take the sheep off, we'll figure it out. And they do unload all of the sheep off the boat. They're still one's in the. Hold on, actually, let's see how he fared.
Am I gonna have to start swimming after a sheep?
Oh, you kind of hurt that sheep. So yeah, this one sheep, they had to rescue him. You feel kind of bad because you definitely got upset and you shoved the sheep and it kind of got hurt.
A little too much heel was on my boot when I was shoving it off the boat.
Yeah, exactly. It was like, so the goblins are now sort of gathered around. The smoke starts to pour from this thing because a lot of the wood's really wet. And Fal, what are you up to?
I look at Billy Bob and I say, Billy Bob, help me get Walden onto the boat. And,
Yeah, you guys begin to pull the other boat out, and sort of like get it set halfway into the water, and Walden and Billy Bob start to get aboard.
Nice. And then as soon as I guess the boat's within like 2 miles, I'd say I'll start rowing out with Billy Bob first.
All right, and Viz, what do you want to do when they get? Are you going to get on the boat with them?
I'll. Fuck. I'm not gonna.
Like, are you just going to leave the goblins the other boat and like let them fend for themselves?
I'll stay behind with the goblins. And I'll send Terry out with the guys.
Okay.
But I'll just sit tight and I'll start loading. Actually, I'll start loading the goblins onto the boat. And then I'll start rowing us behind the first boat. I assume more goblins can fit on since they're like half size.
So you can fit 6 goblins and yourself on the boat.
Okay. Can one of them like sit on my lap, the 7th one?
Well, that's one of those things. There's just not really enough room.
Can the 7th one go on your guys'
You can
boat?
so you can overload the boats,
Well, how about
but
this?
safely only 6 of them and yourself will fit on it. No sheep, just 6 of them and you.
So let's put the 7th guy on the first boat then, since 4 are boat and there's a space left.
Fal, that's your boat. Are you allowing a goblin onto it?
I look at Viz and say, I do not mind, but who will tend to the sheep?
Well, we're gonna have to leave the sheep behind for now. It'll be our bargaining chip to Ringo that there's still sheep on shore, so if he's gonna make the goblins go back,
All right, can you see? You got a 22. Let's see. Let's just see if the goblins are willing to have one of them go separate.
Can 2 go in that one slot, so maybe he
Yep.
doesn't feel so alone?
All right, so one of them, it's like you try to like tell, like make it clear. You're able to like vaguely communicate, but you're able to make it somewhat clear that you want one of them to go, and that's a no go. It seems like they don't want to split up.
So, can 2 go in that one spot, since they're teeny tiny?
They will fit, yeah.
Will he feel better if there's 2 in that slot and then the rest are on the boat with me?
They seem to be okay with that.
Alright. Jimmy maybe can go on that spot since he feels confident,
Jimmy's gonna stay behind with all the other
Oh, he's gonna go on
with
my
the
boat.
sheep, and he's gonna make sure that you can hear him saying that he's gonna make sure that the sheep and the other goblins get on this boat.
Alright.
I yell out, Gandersnack, to do like the rock on hand gesture.
Yeah, they're like like the chorus of them were like Gandersnack, yeah, and like give like the thumbs up. And you push off when they are 2 miles out. Kenny, you are 2 miles out. You see the fire going, and the smoke, and it's pretty obvious now to what's his name? Ringo, as to where you guys need to go. So what are you doing to, like ensure what's going on, or trying to, change his mind or something like that? You
Joe.
there, Kenny?
Sorry, I was muted. I believe that I'm gonna keep an eye on the north and see how close those are getting, as well as
Well, they're definitely pursuing, but it does seem like the Ringo moves faster. But you guys are moving not in just like an away direction. You know, you're moving towards shore instead of just south.
Yeah.
So they are
So-
slowly getting closer.
Right. How long do I think it's gonna take us to get to where? Do I see one of the boats starting to row out?
Yeah, you just see that, you know, you can see barely that they're... Actually, why don't you make me a perception check to see if you can see them setting out in the boats? Because I imagine you can see the smoke and everything like that. You can make it with advantage because you've got your spyglass.
18.
18. Yeah, you can see one boat is leaving shore. You can't tell. You can tell there's definitely people on it. You can't tell whether it's the whole party. You imagine it. You think it's most of them at least. You can make out at least somebody left on shore. You're not sure who it is though. And yeah, they're starting to row out. Are you going to try to convince your captain of anything else, or are you
Yeah,
gonna let
I
him
am.
just continue?
No, I'm gonna be like, I am gonna try to get him to soften on taking these goblins, and if not, because he's
Alright.
putting him and his men at risk, I'm gonna start casting water breathing, which I have prepared as a ritual. So I'm gonna take 10 minutes and cast water breathing on 10 of the captain and 9 men. As to guarantee if they need to escape, they can jump in the water and for the next 24 hours breathe water, no problem.
Interesting. All right. So
I'm
you're gonna try to
gonna
use that as like
offer-
a bargaining chip.
Yeah, I'm gonna offer my services as a druid and do what I can to help him and his sailors in the
Okay.
next
Well, normally I was gonna give you this check with disadvantage because you already asked him once, and he said no. And I like the idea of a bargaining chip. So why don't you instead just make this check normally, just a persuasion check again.
with my
see if
minus
you can
1 to
persuade him.
charisma. 10.
All right. No movement. He's firm. He's not angry, or he's not angry or upset with you asking again. He accepts, the offer to help his men, and he thinks that that's great. And then when you eventually get around to bringing up the fact that you want the goblins, he's like, "We already talked about it once, Kenny. Like, I want you to respect the fact that this is my vessel and these are my men, and I am the one who's in charge of who I let on this ship."
And I completely agree.
And he doesn't get mad or anything like that about it, so it doesn't affect your relationship, right? So
Because I cast it as a ritual, it's not expended in my spell slot, which is nice.
All right. So a few of the men are pretty fascinated by what you're doing. Though these guys seem to be starting to get a little more used to the fact that maybe things aren't what they seem. And just like shit's weird. So back to the shoreline. Falyuan, you and the party start to push yourselves out into the inlet a little bit. Let's see. Can you make me a survival check?
Yes. Let's see here.
Try to get out there. All right, 12. Overcoming the odds slightly. So you guys slowly begin to move at half speed out to sea.
It's the best we can do.
Yeah, there's waves crashing in. It's not easy launching a boat straight out into the ocean.
Mhm.
So yeah, you guys are making headway. Viz,
Oh no.
what are you up to?
Well, I'm trying, have the goblins gotten onto the boat yet?
Yeah, so it looks like 2 of them have gotten onto the boat. So hold on, let's see. There's 2 on that previous boat, so there should be 5 left. Just move that one out of the way. So 2 of them have gotten onto the boat. But it looks like the other 2 or the other 3 are gonna start loading sheep.
I guess I'll turn to Jimmy and try to communicate however I can using hands, but this is what I'm saying. I'll say it out loud to try and, whoever, this is our only trip to the boat, and whoever isn't on these boats right now is getting left behind. So you have to decide if it's sheep or goblins. Which is more important, sheep or goblins? And I keep saying that.
So, here's what's gonna happen. They're gonna try to overload the boat.
No, I'm very weak.
It seems like the consensus they come to is 2 sheep, and they're gonna leave 3 of the sheep behind.
But we can't take all the goblins then.
And well, they're gonna put the 2 sheep and all 5 goblins.
No.
So why don't you make me a persuasion check to convince them that this is a bad idea?
I will attempt to.
Like I said, there's a language barrier.
10.
Okay, so it doesn't go anywhere. That's one of those things where it's like, you guys agree to disagree. Where they're like, okay, well, we're paddling the boat. You can see that like they've got the oars. Because actually, unless you want to have one of the oars.
I mean, am I stronger than them? I have an 8
let me look up their statistics. I don't know, it might be pretty close.
Because I don't think I assume I'm not stronger than most things.
You guys are of equal strength.
Okay. Well,
So
I guess I can take over if they get tired. I will aid them then if they're going to overload this boat and attempt to bring the sheep. I will. Let's see, 3. How big is a sheep? If
a sheep is medium.
But like, if I have a disc of 3 feet in diameter, would it be able to hold a sheep?
No, the sheep are technically take up a 5 by 5 foot. You'd be able to put a goblin, maybe 2 on it.
Yeah, I'll suggest that, and I'll be like, all right, everyone, calm down. Before I cast the spell,
are you gonna suggest this?
I'm gonna be like, everybody, calm down, because they saw me casting magic before, so they know I can do that.
Yeah, from what you've seen, they seem to be more okay with magic than other things that or people that you've encountered.
I cast a disc, and then I jump in it, and I ask one of the goblins to jump in with me, and I say, we're going to follow the boat, and then I like move the disc with my mind around with the around the boat to show that I can move with the boat.
Can you make me a persuasion check?
Oh god. Another 10.
Okay. So they start to hop onto the boat with you on the disc, and they're like thumbs up. They're like, yes, us in the boat, you on the disc.
I'm like, one goblin onto that. And I don't grab him, but I pat one of them on the back, and I motion over to me, like, sit with me. There's too many of you.
Jimmy stands on the prow of the ship and motions it forward.
God damn it, George Washington.
So there's 2 sheep and 5 goblins.
Jimmy the Goblin. Jimmy the Goblin.
You are currently floating next to said boat. You can pull a goblin onto there. You can, it's probably not going to be too much of a struggle.
Yeah, I'm like, I grab one of them by the arm, and I'm like, come. I kind of try to persuade him by not yanking him, but just get sit on. It'll be easier. The boat's rocking. Maybe as the boat starts rocking, and they start getting unsteady, that'll convince them.
They're not. You're 10, unfortunately. They're they don't want to budge. They're cool with the situation. So you can either yank one of them onto there, or stay on it yourself, or,
I'll do a motion of me row, and I'll do a rowing motion, and I'll say to you on the disc.
I mean the same persuasion, it's
we'll just start going. Fuck it. This is gonna take
I was gonna say,
half an hour. Let's just.
I was gonna say those are the choices. Is either you can you can pull one of them or 2 of them onto the disc. You can stay on the disc yourself, or you can get back on the boat with them.
I'll wait to pull them onto the disc until it's necessary. And
Okay.
but for now, it'll just be me.
All right, so they are going to attempt to launch the boat, and they're going to make a collective survival check. Survival uses your wisdom, so let me look up the
Correct.
stats for a goblin and look up their wisdom.
I'm going to hop off the disc and aid them in casting the boat off. Since I won't be getting on the boat.
Oh, right.
The boat's gonna sink. You know that, right, Viz?
Man, I don't know.
No, it's gonna happen.
All right,
You're gonna
Viz, why
fly
don't you
your
go ahead
disc
and
out
make me
here.
a survival check to aid, and we'll see if it helps them out.
All right.
Okay, so you are able to aid them, so they're going to make it with advantage. All right. So, rough going. 7 to start. So they don't make any progress. They don't dash the boat on the rocks, because if they got a 5 or less, they would dash the boat on the rocks.
Before even getting it off the shore.
Yeah, before even getting it offshore. It would get capsized by a wave. So currently, they have made it 5 feet out, loaded with all of the stuff that they have on there.
All right. Well, now I'm going to grab 2 of the goblins by their collars and pull them onto the disc with me, and just start taking off with the disc to follow.
All right,
the
just
other
make
boat.
me a strength check.
Ah, fuck. 13.
All right, so you pull one of them on.
All right. That's fine.
Yeah, he's no problem.
I'll,
you
like,
can't
if
really-
the other one's
yeah.
struggling too much, I'll just let go. I'll be like, whatever.
Yeah, like so one of them's on there with you, and he's in full panic just because shit's moving now. Like you guys are in the water. So you guys start to let me put everybody on here. Jimmy, sheep, goblin.
Technically, I can carry like 500 pounds, so I can carry like 4 goblins on that disc with me.
If they want to crowd onto it, 'cause
Right.
It's only 3 feet in diameter,
It's like
right?
do like a circus balance act.
Which might be, and there's nothing to hold on to. So
Only
Or you could have put the disc underneath the boat.
It wouldn't
Ah.
Yeah, or Mr.
all right,
Condescending
so-
Cat. It wouldn't have helped enough because it's too tiny.
you guys are on a disc next to this thing. It's only moved 5 feet. That's as far as it's moved. So you can. I don't know if your disc can. I don't think your disc can hover over water, can it?
Well, it can hover
What's the-
over a
what's the-
surface.
Let's look this up real quick, because I mean, can you just like surf this thing?
I assume
What's the deal?
it can
You're
move
using
across
tensors?
uneven terrain, up or down stairs, slope, and the like, but it can't cross an elevation change of 10 feet or more. Nor could it leave such a pit if it was created at the bottom. The disc can't move across a 10-foot deep pit. So I don't know if like the ocean would count as that,
Is it
or if
Tensor's floating disc?
it's just called floating disc now in 5th
Okay.
edition.
5e, floating disc on water. Can Tensor's floating disc move across?
What are the physics of the disc?
It has to float at least, or at most 3 feet above the ground. In an unoccupied space. It can hold up to 500 pounds. It's 3 feet in diameter. It's an inch thick. I can make it sort of cupped. So it can be like a bit of like a sledding lid.
Like a little. Oh man, I said that, but I was muted. I said like a sled type of thing.
Yes, exactly. That's how I always
So,
picture it.
The internet's telling me that it does say above the ground, right?
Right, and so technically the ground would be
The bottom of the ocean.
Right, it wouldn't be the water. But I mean, the water is.
But
a
it can
surface.
also. Right, it also is a surface. So here's where the compromise I'm gonna put in, which I think makes a little bit more sense.
It moves
I
slower.
think that you need to make concentration checks on it
That's
to
fair.
keep it on top of, because the surface is constantly moving.
How frequent?
Every round, I think.
It's gonna take us like 500 rounds to get out to the boat.
Yeah.
So it's impossible then. I can't disc out to the
Well, I
side.
mean, so it'd be one of those things that you just start to sink. You know, it would be like the longer you, so it would be easier over a small distance, right?
Right. I mean, I could hover it above the boat, like the back of the boat where no one's sitting, since that's technically a surface. That's not the water.
Yep.
So I could.
So you can get creative with it, but I'll just say that if you're going to try to use the water as the ground or the surface, you're going to have to make a concentration check every round just to have it above the water.
All right.
Or you'll start to just sink down to where the ground level is, and it doesn't take you any concentration to keep it at ground level.
I will keep it above the back of the boat where there are no goblins seated.
Okay. Well, there's
Are there?
not many. Well,
Is there like
they're
at
just a
least-
little cramped.
Yeah. Is there like a little space that I can use as like my?
Well, actually, I'm sorry. You've got one on there with you, and there's 4 of them and 2. So they're all seated basically.
Right.
So there's room for you to hover over the back of this.
All right.
I'm down with that.
Whew.
But they're the ones in control, unfortunately.
And you know, if stuff starts going to shit, I'll at least have enough rounds to make it over to like the other boat, and then
Right.
use that as my anchor.
They're a little ways ahead.
I yell out like, "Hold up!"
Fal Yuan, can you make me a survival check?
10.
Okay. So you guys make half speed forward. Probably make me one more because it's going to be one more to get out into open ocean before you guys. Okay.
Wait,
Boom.
guys, can you wait?
Can you make me a perception check? If you've ever tried to hear at the water,
Who, me or?
you to try to notice Viz. He's shouting at you. He's launching goblins off the shore.
Well, Viz is gonna.
Oh!
As he sees them going around the rock, he's gonna light off a prestidigitation firework behind you guys that makes a loud bang. Like I'm still back here. Wait the fuck up. Basically, I'll have that spell out in the sky. Like I'll wait.
All right. We're gonna have the goblins make a survival check to try to keep going. All right. Not too bad. They start to move themselves out.
Once, two.
All right. And they're gonna go again. Fal, I imagine you see them starting to launch and Viz trying to get your attention.
I don't know. I got a nat 1.
Yeah. He doesn't see nothing.
He made the prestidigitation, so let's say that you don't slow down. But you see them coming at least.
Okay. Okay.
You can't tell what he's trying to tell you.
Yeah, that makes sense.
These goblins are doing a bang up job.
Oh, thank
It
God.
said the prestidigitation said
Yeah, the word wait.
but by the
like-
time he looked at it, it was like blurred out, and it just said it was just like what.
Yeah, wah. Yeah, it's like when a firework fizzles out, you just see like the little remnants of sparkle.
Okay, so the goblins are going to make one more attempt to get out of the shallows, and then no more survival checks are going to be necessary.
I'm going to aid with this check. Oh, I don't need to. Never mind.
I was going to say, I don't think we discussed before, there wasn't a way to aid while you're floating on the disc.
Well, I have the spell Gust of Wind, and so I could have like gusted the boat forward.
So they are going to escape out from the shallows. So,
Nice fart,
Let's see.
whatever that was.
there's going to have to be, because of the unorthodox way in which the goblins are piloting the boat, because you guys are technically overloaded.
Mm-hmm.
You've got a Tensor's floating disc floating on the back of this boat.
And two
break-
sheep who are
breaking the
doing
rules
nothing
and helping.
but just ruining the balance of the boat.
Right, exactly. So you guys begin to make your way towards each other. Let's see. We're gonna have them So anybody who's on the goblin boat is gonna need. We're gonna need to make like 3 survival checks to get you guys across to the other ship.
All right.
So you can, using Terry, you can try to communicate with the other boat. I would say shouting it's not really possible. It's like it's not really possible when
I mean, I
sailing
can
like
use
that.
visual signals. I can use
Yeah.
prestidigitation.
Or if you want to try to signal them to stop, you guys can pull up alongside each other.
Yeah, I'll send Terry over to tell them that the signal, in case we're lagging behind it, I need you to stop. I'm just going to create a big red octagon in the sky, so just watch out for that.
For some odd reason, that feels really familiar.
Yeah, that seems right for some reason.
Alrighty. So they are going to make the check. Are you going to try to aid them?
Is there a way I can? From
That's
the disc?
entirely up to you. If you want to stay on the disc, not really. So it's sort of one of those things where, like, because you're on the disc, they're going to be able to do it they're going to be okay. If you guys were going to get off the disc, it's going to make it more challenging, you know, because there's more people on the boat. But you might be able to help out. So it's kind of a equal situation, you know, where either you can leave it up to them, and just trust in the goblins, or you can, try to help out. But also potentially make it worse by getting onto the boat. Do you know what I mean?
Right. So I was still thinking of that spell, Gust of Wind, the description of which being a line of strong wind 60 feet long and 10 feet wide, blast from you in a direction you choose for the spell's duration up to 1 minute concentration. Moves 15 feet away from me per round in the direction of the wind.
Right. So you'd be able to use that, but you can't have tensors. You can't have floating disc going at the same time.
That's true, since it's a concentration. So I mean, I could blast it once. I just wouldn't be able to concentrate on it. So I guess that'd be like a fail safe, just to be like, and then a gust of wind as a.
Well, I mean, you got a choice, you know, like one of those. You can either get on the boat and help them out, or you can.
Right. I'm saying is that an option I have up my sleeve in case things go to shit? Since the floating disc isn't a concentration spell, as long as I'm over the boat, so I won't have to concentrate while casting the spell, but I will have to start concentrating once the boat gets out from under me. But I can at least use the wind to like move the boat out of a situation if it gets in a is that something I like?
You can either aid. You can tell me whether you want to aid ahead of time or not.
For all 3 checks, it's not going to go like check by check.
No, I mean it's going to be for each check. But if you decide to, cancel the disc
perfect.
or something like that,
Yeah, that's fair. Yeah, I just want to know if you're okay with me trying to use Gust of Wind to help if need be.
Right, but like I said, you can't have that and the other. Like, it's not going to be able to have both of those things going at the same time. You have to get onto the boat to cast something else than having the floating disc and stuff going.
I'm confused why, though, since Floating Disc isn't a concentration spell, and Gust of Wind, if I choose not to concentrate on it, isn't. It would just be
Floating disc works for 10 minutes, right?
an hour.
But, or regardless of the time, it's one of those things where, like, to be honest, I'm already letting you break the rules having the disc floating over a boat. So,
Okay.
Like, it's one or the other.
All right. Well, then I guess I'll aid by not aiding and just I'll pull another goblin onto the disc, since they've seen now that it's safe, and I'll see if one of them wants to come onto the disc with me. Another one.
So, do you want to aid in the first survival check that they're going to try to?
I will try to aid, yes, by pulling a goblin onto the disc, so that their check is easier, since there'll be less of them. Is that a way I can aid, or if not, then?
Oh, so they're, like we said, they're not overloading the boat if you and that one goblin are still on the disc. But as soon as you guys get off, then then the boat's overloaded, and it makes it more difficult.
Okay, but it's not right now at all. I thought you were saying it was with the sheep on there too. But okay, then yeah, I can't aid, so I won't, and I'll just float behind, and they can do what they're gonna do.
Okay.
Oh, no.
So they don't do so well the first time. Fal, you and the goblins get further away from each other. They don't seem to be too good at paddling the boat. They're small. The boats are meant for medium-sized creatures. They also have some sheep that are kicking around. Biz, you're trying to give instructions, but you don't speak Goblin. It's a whole host of problems. So they start to lag behind. What would you guys like to do?
How far behind are they?
At this point, a couple 100 feet.
Oh, okay. So too late to throw a rope.
Yeah, you'd be able to wait up and catch up with them if you wanted to.
Assuming the waves are accommodating, yeah. But since I haven't seen any signal or anything like that, Fal Yuan would just continue to row.
All right.
Or unless Billy Bob says something,
No, I mean they got the same message, so they're gonna keep going, unless they sense any danger or anything like that. But currently, there's no panic or anything. All right, so we're gonna go one more round. John, do you want to continue to stay on the floating disc?
Yeah, sure.
Okay. All right. Again, they are not doing so well. Basically, it's one of those things where they're paddling too hard on one side, turning the boat a little bit towards the north, and sort of drifting away. So you guys don't get any further apart, but at the same time, they don't make any progress in really getting all that much closer. So Fal, are you guys going to continue to move forward, or are you going to wait for them?
Well, yeah, I'd move forward. At the same time, what do the skies look like? Are the Griffin Riders kind of?
Make me a perception check.
Ooh, nope, 8.
All right, so you don't see the Griffin Riders, but you do see the galleons to the north, a couple miles away, and you see that Ringo's Rancid is getting very close. You're going to reach them within the next 5 minutes or so.
Oh, good.
So we're going to make one more check for the goblins. John, any change?
I mean, again, I can't do anything, so no.
Well, like I said, I was trying to make this clear before. So, if you get off the disc, you have a chance at being able.
And my role is the exact same as yours, so there's really nothing I can do besides just sit on the disc or try to row.
Well, what I was going to say before is that if you get off the disc, you have the chance of actually trying to change something. Though it does give them a minus, you're still able to actually do something to be able to change the situation.
I mean, all I have is Gust of Wind, and that might not necessarily help.
Well, that's the only spell you have. I mean, you can also attempt to help them navigate, or row yourself, being a larger creature than they are.
Yeah, my strength is the same as theirs, and you know me, I don't trust my rolling. So if it comes down to
stand on the disc.
Yeah.
All right. So they make a little bit of progress. They get somewhat closer. They seem to be getting the hang of this thing a little bit. And they move the sort of the first third of the way out that they were trying to go. Fal, you guys make it up to the boat. And it looks like, they're throwing lines down and stuff to you guys immediately.
Oh, good.
Kenny's persuaded them, of course, to let you guys aboard, and immediately they're trying to come down and hoist the boat up and stuff like that. Do you guys want to? What do you want to
do? I would like to first get Walden up to safety, and then if I can find Kenny, I would say, Kenny, we need to go help Viz and the other boat. Wherever Kenny is.
Sorry, what did you say, Valion?
We need to help Viz.
How?
How
about this? Get him off of a boat filled with goblins. That would be the best way to help him. Ringo's not gonna let goblins on his ship. Let's go.
I stammer a bit and say,
Well,
I
even
do not
his
know
armor
how to
hurts
do that.
back. I'm in the middle of the ocean. You want him to drown? Liz says, not having heard that.
Well,
So you guys, the boat continues to sail towards the goblins. They are going to continue to navigate unless there's any other change. All right. So during
I tell Ringo we need to get at least the dude who's standing on the disc.
So one of the things you notice, Viz, during this paddling process, the sheep start to get freaked out.
Mm-hmm.
And in turn, one of them kicks one of the goblins in the face.
oh shit.
And he goes flying overboard. We'll say it's this guy. He just sails into the sea. And at that, one of the sheep jumps out because, it's a sheep. It thinks it's like, oh, well, it's time to get out. And it jumps out of the boat as well. So the other goblins start to panic. What do you do?
All right, so I'll take the disc out and grab one of the goblins, pulling him on, and then throw a line around the sheep's abdomen if he can stay still long enough while on the disc, and attempt to throw it to the goblins on the boat so they can pull the sheep back up.
All right, so you're gonna try to lasso the sheep?
Essentially.
Yeah.
I don't know if that'll work in the water, so I'll just try to reach around it.
Try not to
Alright.
choke the sheep.
Yeah, just basically try not to get around the neck. That's the big goal.
What do you think? Maybe a performance check?
For the rope? Sleight of hand?
I wish they had a handle animal, man. I wish they had a handle animal.
Persuasion would be the closest because it used to be a charisma-based check.
To
no, there is
rope
an animal
something?
handling. It's wisdom-based. It's right
Oh,
there.
yeah. Because handling an animal is like making it do a trick and stuff like that, right? Calming it down, domesticated animal.
Yeah, or if you're doing mounted combat.
Yeah. So make me a handle or animal handling check.
Another
to see
fantastic
if you
skill
can
of mine.
Dude, hell yeah. All right. So you pull one of the goblins up onto the disc with you, right?
Yeah.
Is that what you said? The one who's in the water?
Because I still have enough space for at least one more.
So yeah, you have space for the one who's on there and the one that you pull up onto it. So you've got you and one wet goblin and one dry goblin. You've lassoed this sheep. And then you're gonna throw the line to.
Oh, and since I'm over the water, I now have to make a concentration check for the disc.
Oh yes.
So I don't.
So the disc lowers. The disc is now floating 2 feet below the surface of the water. So it lowered 5 feet.
Okay.
So you're ankle deep.
Well, actually, that's kind of helpful for the sheep tying because now I can get under it.
Right. So you've got the sheep. He's tied up. But we're gonna make both of these goblins are gonna have to make checks to see if they, now there's a bunch of water, right?
Yeah.
So they're gonna have to see. They're gonna make some reflex saves to see if they stay on the. Because you've got a sheep that you're wrestling,
Right.
so you can't
We'll call it
save them.
I mean, they can try to grab onto
Disc
me.
turbulence, maybe?
Discord.
So we'll see how they
Mayhem.
do, and then you'll if you want to try to save them, you might have to drop the sheep. So So they're both gonna make those as goblins. Let's see how they do with that. They get. At least they have a +2 dex.
Not bad. I was gonna say goblins at least are a little. They gotta be a little.
Yeah. No, it's not going to be
Right.
that bad. They both make it.
Yeah. they're
All right.
bad.
So they both stay aboard the disc. There's a little bit of surfing going on, and it's pretty deep for them.
For them, yeah, that's like tummy like deep, right?
Exactly. So they're like, I imagine they've got like they're grabbing on, and their faces are just above the water. And because this thing's moving, not at a fast clip, but you're moving a little bit. Actually, less so now that there's panic.
And I'm
So-
trying to wrangle the sheep.
So yeah, you've got the sheep wrangled. What do you want to do at the other end of the rope?
I throw it to Jimmy.
All right. Jimmy and the other goblin are going to try to pull this thing aboard.
And I'm going to push from behind and make another.
So yeah, they're going to get
concentration check.
advantage in general. All right. They pull it onto board. Go ahead and make me a concentration check.
Hey.
All right. It doesn't sink any further. You're a little bit below water.
Can I start like after this is all done? Can I get the disc back up?
Yeah. I would say that it's going to take like active, active concentration check to try to like move it up.
Yeah, that's fine. And get the water out. and
So yeah,
everything.
you've leveled out. You've got 2 goblins on there. You feel like if you had less weight, it would be easier. You like if you were the only thing on this, it would be a little easier.
I put the other goblin back onto the boat.
Yeah, he gladly jumps onto the boat. Actually, the dry one jumps onto the boat.
Okay. Fair.
And like the wet one's like clinging onto one of your legs. So they're gonna again attempt to row.
Hey.
All right. They do pretty well. They move themselves forward again. And you guys are getting close to the rancid. There's going to be one more check to get you over there. Anything else you want to do? You're sort of back to your actually go ahead and make me a concentration check to try to get your disc back up.
Oh.
Beautiful. So you deftly do like a little wakeboarding off the back and then bring yourself back up onto the like floating above the
I'll
the rear,
briefly make
the
it
stern.
mesh so all the water like pours out.
That's pretty sweet. So you find yourself floating again over the back of this boat, as the goblins attempt to pilot it and successfully do towards the rancid. So that brings us to the situation at hand. Kenny, you and Fal, Walden, Billy Bob, and Ringo's whole crew are all aboard the rancid. You see the 5 goblins. Oh, I'm sorry. Let's backtrack a second. I almost forgot.
Mm.
So, back to when you guys were a little bit apart. There are 2 goblins who are on the boat,
Mm.
on that longboat. So, once Val, Walden, and Billy Bob are unloaded, the boat does not get hauled up. Ringo says to you, Kenny, those goblins ain't coming aboard.
Yeah, I told them. We'll switch them to the boat, and I'll pay you for the extra rowboat.
Oh, no. We're keeping our lifeboats.
You're just gonna ditch the goblins at sea?
Yep.
It's your boat.
All right, he's gonna say, boys.
I've said I look at Fal Ewan and Walden, who looks like a zombie.
Yeah, I look at him
and
and say, what is going on?
Yeah, Fal,
I've-
can you jump
well-
in here? Come on.
I've said my piece to Ringo and tried to bargain to get these goblins on this ship. He's a no-go. However, I say he is going to Verdunia, which might be advantageous for us. So best not to piss him off. I pushed it twice. I'm not going to push it anymore for a guy who's already doing us a favor to have us on his boat. So you want
So,
to try
Val,
to get him?
are you gonna do anything else at the moment?
Say that again, Tom?
Are you gonna do anything else at the moment? Form any sort of protest against Ringo?
How stern does he look?
I mean, he doesn't look angry. He's just like, this is the way it is.
I ask him, is there any way to convince you?
Said I don't take goblin kind on my boat. Filthy animals like that. No predicting them. This place will go down in a blaze.
That's probably very true.
Oh, come on, guy. You're not helping.
Like I said, I've said my piece. This man
So,
is...
Fal, they're going to start hauling the boat up. Do you want to do anything to stop them? The 2 goblins are still on it.
We have history with them. I can take them under my charge.
Money. Talk about money.
He's like, basically, there's he's already talked about that. He says, he's like, your buddy already tried to convince me.
Even with money?
What kind of money?
How much?
How many
much
goblins
ahead?
are there?
How many are they? 7?
7,000.
7, and I look 7,000.
That'll buy me a new ship if it burns down.
Jesus.
I am not that rich.
Well, I didn't sign up for goblins.
Team
Sorry,
huddle.
kid.
Team huddle, I say.
They start raising the boats.
Yeah, I mean, you guys still need to wait for me to get there.
So yeah, the boat's getting Viz's boat's getting closer, and they raise the longboat up with the 2 goblins on it. Fal, when it gets to the top, you can see the 2 goblins. They're kind of like huddled in it, a little bit scared. Viz, your boat is now maybe 100 yards off or so. This is just before that last check. You guys are finally rowing in.
Yeah.
And anything you're gonna do, Fal?
Team huddle, Val. Team huddle.
Go ahead.
Okay, team huddle.
If we can't convince him to let the goblins on the ship, let's at least convince him to let the goblins take one of the rowboats and get out of here. I mean, by all means, they'll probably just end up dashing it on the rocks or lost at sea for the next, until they all die. But it's gonna cost 7 grand. I mean, I'll look at my my money pouch and start doing little tallies in my head. Yeah, I've got 4,000, but
I barely have 3. I do not
Yeah,
know how much Walden has.
barely have 4, and who knows if Walden's down to spend his money on goblins. I mean, we've helped these goblins out a lot. These are the same goblins. I just don't know if I am being sentimental or if, these goblins are just gonna end up, dead somewhere else. I mean, they would have been dead on the shore if we hadn't showed up.
How much do you think he would charge for one boat?
Probably 6,999 gold.
Probably.
It does not hurt to ask.
All right.
Whichever-
So what's the decision?
Well, I still need to get there. Don't make any decisions.
Yeah. I'm just saying the boat has come to the top. The 2 goblins are there. You guys finish your discussion. Anything you're gonna say to him?
Can we ask until we? Can you wait until the other boat gets here at least?
He takes out his spyglass and looks down at it. There's more goblins on that boat.
Listen, we just need to talk to the dude floating on the disc in the back of it.
Well, he knows.
They throw the 2